All right, welcome back to everyone's favorite longevity show. What came first, the aging or the disease? Today's answer seems to be option C, mad microbes in the gut. Huh? Okay, reality is we still really don't know for sure what comes first. But this new data showing how your microbes may accelerate the process is just too cool to ignore. Let's go. Yo, yo, yo! What is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftandbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and longevity and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic way. Today we are back in the smelliest place on earth, the large intestines. This time exploring yet another connection between the trillions of microbes that call it home and our race with the Grim Reaper, aging. As alluded to before, we will be doing this by diving into some new, hot off the scientific streets research, which pretty much implicates the microbiome in accelerating aging for smaller organisms. However, I'm going to tell you why I think they may have got it wrong. The main underlying driver of this microbe dysfunction, that is, while also giving you my take or hypothesis on what I think is actually going on. Because, as we've discussed in many of our other microbiome deep dives on this channel, there in fact is a connection between the trillions of microbes living within and the aging of our pretty cool meat suit. With two of the hallmarks observed across both humans and animals being a reduction in microbial diversity and a shift in microbial species that strongly correlates with host inflammation, ultimately indicating that gut dysbiosis is associated with aging. And as we know, when it comes to our cellular and metabolic function, more inflammation is a one-way ticket to more problems, as the chronic upregulation of our immune system, often called chronic inflammation, is a common variable in almost every type of disease, often seen as a factor which accelerates cellular dysfunction and sets the stage for the condition's onset. That is exactly why we want to do everything in our power to keep anything that unnecessarily triggers our immune system to a minimum, which brings us to our microbes, or non-self entities using us as their host. Now, don't get me wrong, this relationship is certainly not a one-way mooch fest. Because as a byproduct of allowing them to stay in our intestinal tubing, these microbes secrete compounds and metabolites such as short-chain fatty acids, which traverse the gut wall and have a biological boosting effect across the entire body. And get this, many times reducing and preventing the aforementioned inflammation. Pretty cool, I know. However, this balance is rather delicate. And even though we receive a number of benefits from these microbe guests, long-term guests, as you may recall from this video here, our body is not a big fan of our microbes leaving their designated area. In fact, when they do, it ramps up a full-fledged immune assault to destroy the adventurous, non-approved microbe byproducts. Thus, why we have a big, glorious gut wall comprised by millions of tightly junctioned epithelial cells and a nice layer of mucus atop it to keep the peace and act as a buffer between the trillions of non-self organisms and our self gut cells with the all-important bloodstream and rest of the body behind it. Now, when things are operating as they should, this buffer allows for specific nutrients and metabolites to pass through while keeping all of these microbes in their place. However, if the mucus buffer layer becomes depleted, a very common side effect of the modern Western lifestyle, the ultra-processed 24/7 eating, the indoor sedentary behavior, chemicals and pharmaceuticals galore, and chronic sleep deprivation, microbes, beneficial or not, begin to make direct contact with the gut wall, inducing inflammation and eventually, if not fixed, a loosening of these tight cellular junctions and the creation of a secret backdoor into club circulation. A condition clinically known as leaky gut. And this backdoor not only opens up a path for bacteria, but also their much harder to manage immune triggering components. One of the most problematic being LPSs, or lipopolysaccharides. This is a bacterial component which plays a key role in their function and protection, but also one which often detaches from a bacteria after its death. And if you didn't know, bacteria are constantly dying in there. It's the circle of life, bacterial life. Then you poop it out, but we'll talk about that later. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if these LPSs come from so-called beneficial or nefarious bacteria. Non-self is non-self. And when they start leaking into the bloodstream, it can set off this perfect storm of immune chaos which sets the stage for systemic inflammation. And when chronic, the acceleration of disease and dysfunction across the various bodily systems, and thus the acceleration of aging, which is actually what this new study set out to explore. Let's take a look. Researchers at the University of Illinois sought to see if there was an inflammation accelerating effect driven by an aging gut microbiome. And to do this, they leveraged a mouse model measuring the abundance of microbial byproducts in the bloodstream of both young and aged mice, and correlating this with the bacterial composition of their microbiomes. Here they found that microbes from aged mice were more likely than those from young mice to activate an immune toll-like receptor, TLR4, which senses bacterial byproducts such as lipopolysaccharides and triggers inflammation. Pretty interesting, right? Then you're gonna love what they did next. From here, the researchers took the experiment a step further and transplanted the microbiome of these aged mice into germ-free young mice, or mice that are specifically bred without a microbiome. And wouldn't you know it, these young mice proceeded to experience higher inflammatory signaling and increased levels of lipopolysaccharides in the blood after the transplant. You don't say. As a result, the researchers concluded that their findings provided, quote, a direct link between aging-induced shifts in the microbiota and host inflammation. For mice, that is. Always important to remind. Now, all of that being said, I cannot help but wonder, but ponder, but noodle. Is this definitely what's going on here? How do we know that this microbial change just isn't a byproduct of a suboptimal mouse lifestyle? For example, eating crappy ultra-processed lab chow for 2 years. Chow that may cultivate an environment of microbes in the elder mice guts, which promote the breakdown and deterioration of the all-important gut wall. Not that mice in the wild may eat much better, especially the New York City ones. Actually, some of those New York City rats are straight up jacked, but topic for another day. Anyway, hopefully you get my point. What if this diet, along with their lab conditions, aka their environment, created a gut wall problem as they aged, causing leaky gut and allowing more non-self microparticles to sneak into the bloodstream, causing the observed inflammation, thus increasing the odds, likelihood, and probability of gut dysfunction driven by lifestyle rather than aging, with the age-accelerating chronic inflammation being the byproduct. And listen, I don't know if this little hypothetical is the real answer either. It obviously needs to be tested. All I'm saying is that it 100% cannot be ruled out, especially after all of the deep dives that we've done displaying how lifestyle and environment influence our trillions of creepy crawlers within. And I hate to say it, but this scenario may not be too far off with what's happening out here in the wild for us humans, especially ones following a modern Western lifestyle. So, since we're on hypotheticals and all, let's ponder on what would happen if, say, someone escaped the lab of modern health deteriorating societal norms. Like I said before, the 24/7 ultra-processed eating, sedentary behavior, antibiotic use, harsh cleaning supplies, excess time spent inside, and circadian disaligned deprived sleep, and instead started nurturing their microbes and body through lifestyle, helping them help you, putting the gut wall promoting, beneficial metabolite producing communities in a position to thrive. What do you think would happen? Well, there's a good chance you would be reinforcing quite a community of upstanding microbe citizens and quite a mucousy abundant gut wall. And this is because our microbiome and the state of our gut is constantly shifting as a byproduct of its environment. The food we eat, the movement we do, the sleep we get, the medications we take, the household items we use, and the nature that we experience are all factors constantly influencing the composition of our internal and external creepy crawlers. And generally speaking, the data suggests that the modern day Western lifestyle is not the type of environment that cultivates longevity boosting microbes, as it's actually associated with a less diverse, health deteriorating, disease promoting ecosystem within. While eating real whole foods, organic, grass-fed, wild, free range with a healthy dose of fiber, moving your badonkadonk, spending time in and getting a little dirty in nature, and prioritizing high-quality circadian aligned nightly sleep does the exact opposite and cultivates an environment for beneficial microbes to prosper, promoting a healthy, strong gut wall, cellular efficiency, and the reduction of longevity liability numero uno, chronic inflammation. So I urge you to just not accept that you are destined to a declining microbial ecosystem just because you're stacking up chronological years on this beautiful floating rock. Instead, go on the offensive and modulate this ever-changing ecosystem to your advantage. Live a lifestyle that nurtures it every single damn day. And if you do, the best part is these same habits that cultivate your gut dwellers to be their best, most beneficial microbial selves also make your own cellular and metabolic self operate more efficiently, creating this unheard of, underexperienced phenomena of feeling how you're capable of feeling, or what I like to call effing awesome every single damn day. And it's all because you decided to put the little creepy crawlers that are responsible for making your poop smell in a position to thrive, which will be a great story to tell the grandkids when you're playing with them in 50 years. And yeah, playing requires you to be strong, mobile, and capable. Good job, future you.